Hey guys, so in my Mondays video I talked about all the things I wanted to do this week. There's about 4 different videos I had in mind that, I wanted to do 2 of them this week and probably some next week or anything like that. So I started coming up with a lot of ideas, and then yesterday I ruined that for myself because I misused a knife, and I know you probably read the title as well as saw the thumbnail, so you're wondering what it means. And yes, I really did go to the hospital last night. You see, what happened is, and I don't recommend anyone doing this, is I got way too arrogant when it came to using a knife, because I've been using a knife since I was a little kid, to cut things. It's not the same knife, but I've been using knives. My dad always taught me, cut away from yourself, don't cut in your hand and stuff like that, but, I didn't listen. And a lot of the time it didn't ever hurt me. I never had a really sharp knife. Even if it did cut me, it would just bump into my skin and that's it. And I have a higher pain tolerance a lot of the time. So that really didn't hurt. None of those hurt. So I got, a really cheap knife set the other day. And it was 3 knives for $5. It was real cheap. Because I needed knives in the house. I had the one steak knife that I've had since easily last June or before that, so I needed more knives in the house because that one was starting to go dull and I don't have a knife sharpener. So I bought this knife set, and I figured since it was so cheap, they probably suck. They probably can't cut anything. So I was using it in my hand, as I usually do, because I try to cut things on the one cutting board I have. I got it for $1. It's real cheap, but it's plastic and it keeps it from going onto my mobile countertop, or I use a plate. But this time I got way too arrogant. I didn't want to dirty any dishes because I only like doing the dishes maybe 3-4 times a week, if that. I don't like doing the dishes, and Katie gets on to me all the time for it. But, so I was using it in my hand, and it was just a block of cheese, and I was trying to go as slow as possible because the cheese was really, really thick. It was about 2 inches thick, 1 inch, 2 inches thick. So, I figured I had enough cushion that as soon as I saw it coming, towards the other side, I would slow down. And I did it earlier that day. I did the same thing, and it was able to stop. I stopped it before it got all the way to the edge, and I just wiggled the cheese off. And that's it. So, this time, as it was going through, I guess the cheese had a little bit more give than I thought it would. And as I was almost all the way through it, the knife just came out, and I pushed down with a pretty good amount of weight, and it was in my hand, and then there goes part of my fingertip. It was right on the right side of it, the bottom side of my fingertip, and it cut onto my and that was on my middle finger. Then my left ring finger got nicked just a tiny bit. The skin's still on there and all. There's nothing wrong with that one. The doctors told me I just need to get a Band-Aid, put it on it, and it will heal in the next couple days. Just make sure they both stay clean. But my middle finger wasn't so lucky. So I didn't go to the hospital for the first 3 hours, I think. And that was just because, I was always taught don't go to the hospital unless you need to, because it's really expensive. So if you're in a lot of pain or you can't do anything on your own, you need to go in. So the nearest hospital is 2 miles, and I wouldn't have been able to get a ride in the next hour or so. So I just walked there, and it took about an hour. It took about 48 minutes to get there. But I did go to a couple places first, hoping that they would be able to help me with some clinics, and the clinic was closed. I went to Walgreens. I explain it later on in this video. I have a bunch of Snapchats from the time after it happened. As me walking there and my experience while in the hospital. So I want to do that later on in this video. But it was awkward because when I was walking there, all I had was just a paper towel wrapped around my finger like this, and it wasn't even on the cut. It was just so it wouldn't leak down my hand. I wouldn't look like I just murdered someone. So they bandaged me up, and I just changed the bandages maybe 20 minutes ago. But I got there, and, the first thing in my mind when I was walking, I was I really hope they're able to stitch this up, just because, it's kind of deep, and I took off a lot of skin, because it was on the other side of the knife, was like a chunk of skin, like easily like a millimeter deep in my skin. So, you know, I definitely ruptured the epidermis and probably made it down to the dermis itself. And, you know, it was a pretty bad cut. And it was, like, across the entire, like, I'll show you on my other finger. It was easily from, like, here to here on my finger. This entire thing right here is gone. Almost, and then, like, there's the smallest little skin in front of the nail, but everything else back is gone. So, like, if I went at a different angle, like, down, it could have really messed me up. But luckily, it was just the tip, just like right behind the nail. So really hard to heal, really hard to, like, you know, stitch up. So I went to the doctor, and I was at the hospital, and I'm not even exaggerating, for over 3 hours. A man who's bleeding, his hands, you know, running blood for an hour. So I, like, just sat there waiting. And they made me drain it for like 20, 30 minutes. Like, you know, clean it off. Just use a little bowl of peroxide. And when the doctor finally came back after, like, because he had a huge blood clot from that hour of me walking there. And, like, the hour of me trying to make sure it didn't bleed the entire time I was at the hospital. So, like, it had this gigantic black blood clot. Can't speak today. And so the doctor, like, you know, he checked it out and everything. And he said my worst fear. They had already brought in all the tools, everything, the surgical tools, the needle that they were going to need to give me anesthetic with, the like actual needle, thread, everything they need to actually stitch my finger up. And then the doctor looks at it, and like he's turning around his hand, and he's like, I don't think there's enough for me here to stitch. He's like, you cut way too deep, and you cut off way too much skin. So all we can do is just dress it, and you have to just make sure it doesn't get infected. So now for the next a week, 2 weeks, I'm going to have to be checking this thing every day, cleaning it with peroxide, water, and trying to make sure it stays dry, and try to use some antibacterial ointments. But right now I don't have a lot of money, so I can't even get the prescription drugs or the antibiotics I need just because I don't have money. And so, as of now, I called the hospital, and, like, I'm supposed to be billed $600, even though all they did was wash my finger and dressed it. And then they gave me, like, 1 packet of bandages, 1 packet of wrap, and and that's it, really. That's all they gave me. So, that they expect me to pay $600. I don't know if that's the final price. The woman said she can't, like, she said there might be some changes in it. But, so guys, especially if you live here in America, please be careful. Please use knives properly. Learn how to use them before you actually do. And I guess after this, right now, I'm going to be showing you the Snapchat videos from yesterday. Yeah, here we go. Let's start that. So I finally got to the place where they could help me, and it's called Trinity Express Med or something. And when I finally got there, found out it was closed. Then I went to the Walgreens right next door because they have a pharmacy there as well as, like, kind of medical place. That's why I used to do my physicals, but it was closed, and they were closing the entire store in like 10 minutes. So the guy told me, go to this Total place. So I looked up the Total place, and it was closed. So now I'm walking about 2 miles to a hospital, which I don't have insurance or money. Let's hope this can be fixed. Yeah, halfway now, and I've basically passed about 1 million cars, all of which, of course, didn't slow down. But heck, a few people even waved at me. Maybe some people passing by. No one really noticed I had an open wound on my hand. My stomach really hurts. I think it's just because, like, I probably had to go to the bathroom. No clue, but this is not fun. I feel like this is karma for something. So, from now on, I gotta do the best for everyone, not just me. Kids, if I want you guys to learn anything from this, don't hold something in your hand when you're cutting it. I got very arrogant with it, so, yeah, halfway. So I went by a 24-hour clinic on the way to the hospital because I when I looked up, nothing came up.
But when I went in there, the front desk person, the receptionist, she got freaked out by my finger because it was cut open. Which, why would you work at a 24-hour clinic if you're not used to seeing cuts? So now I'm going to the big hospital right down the road. I've walked nearly 2 miles to get here, and I have a bad feeling they're going to say no and that they can't help me. Even some advice would be helpful at this point, because how does one, fix their own cut open finger? I know if I asked advice on my dad when I was a kid about something like this, the first thing he would say is rub some dirt on it, duct tape it up, and you'll be good. I know my cousin Gabe told me to just duct tape it, super glue it, and wrap some bandages around it with duct tape, and I'll be fine. So that's how my family is. Alright, so now I'm going to this hospital, and kind of looks just waiting around, even though my finger looks like crap now. Gross. Just found out I can't get it even stitched up. Man, I screwed up.
Yeah, so all of that happened. And I sorry I filmed it at such an awkward angle. I am not below face camera angle guy. That's not a flattering videos of me. But yeah, I really do think I shouldn't have gone to the hospital. Growing up, I was always taught not to, but it was just I bled so much that I was terrified that something bad would be happening. Katie told me to make sure to just go to the hospital just to make sure it's okay, and she was freaking out, so I just went to the hospital because I figured that might as well. And now I'm being billed basically for the things I could have done at home. But it was definitely an experience, and the entire thing that went through my head was, this is gonna make a good YouTube video. Which I don't know how other people might have thought, but that's how because I have a high pain tolerance. Even the moment it happened, I was so scared. I didn't feel a single thing. The first thing I did, I grabbed my finger, tried to just make sure I kept pressure on it. Literally the first second, I dropped the knife, grabbed it. That's it. I didn't think about the pain. I didn't feel pain. The only time now it hurts is if you touch right on it. So this doesn't hurt, but if I go like that hurts. So I'm perfectly fine. I have a high pain tolerance, and I'm fine with that. I've played football for 7 years, and I plan on playing more, hopefully, in the future. So I really don't care about a tiny nick on my finger. Even if I cut off half the tip, I'm fine. It's just I thought this would make a good YouTube video, good clickbait, and good information. I feel that there's a lot of people out there who are too confident using knives, and I was. So please be careful about knives. Don't send yourself to the hospitals, especially if you live here in the United States. They will overcharge you on the bill 100% of the time. Just make sure you stay home if you have to, or if you can, and try to make sure if you do have any cuts or abrasions or anything like that, just try to wrap them up with anything soft, hopefully soft, if you have any paper towels that are kind of soft, try to wrap it up in that. Do anything you can. Just keep pressure on it and make sure that it stops bleeding. If it doesn't stop bleeding and it's bleeding profusely, you might need to go to the hospital like I did. So, guys, please don't be afraid of the hospital. I understand they will overcharge you, but they do help. And they do sincerely want to help you. It's just the back offices that want to make you pay a lot. So just make sure you go to the hospital if you need to and get help. Okay, guys, so I think I'm going to end it here. I'm going to put a video out. This video is being filmed right now on Tuesday, but it's going to be put out on Wednesday, so I have time to edit it. So if you like these videos, please comment, and subscribe, as well as share them. And on Wednesday or Thursday, I'm going to be making another video to come out on Friday, as well as I might do a video that's coming out on Saturday. I'm not sure. It's all going to be up to me and how well my finger feels, because I need to make sure I can do stuff with my finger. Thank you for watching this video, guys. I really do appreciate it, and I know most of you probably got brought on here just because of the picture and the thumbnail, or the tags and stuff. So thank you for wanting to see me in pain, I guess. Alright, guys, have a good day, and I'll see you later. Bye, guys.